Capture cash. I do too. I don't know when it started.
And when you do the print request, how do you do that? Okay, why do you do that?
Oh, correct.
I used your name. Would that make a difference?
No, because it just, it's gonna do this quick capture.
Oh, oh, I got to do something with my makeup. It looks horrible.
What?
My face.
Don't worry, these cameras are not, I mean, Jennifer needs to purchase one of those.
I need to turn it off. Is what I need to do. Can someone type in the chat if you can hear me? This is Dana. Sherry, did you get logged in?
Not yet, I just now got my computer open up. I should get it.
That's where the baby go in. Which is fun. I'm happy.
Kendra, can you see my? If anyone can hear me, go ahead and type in the chat. Oh, I can hear me. Okay, we'll get started here in just a few minutes. I have about 12:46. The meeting's supposed to start at 1. We have around 50 or so registered. This is for the fresh fruit and vegetable program. We'll get started here in just a few. We are here. We're going to get started here in about 10 minutes. It's about 12:50. Welcome aboard. We've got a few folks joining us. We're just trying to get set up here in the boardroom so that we can get everything kicked off. This is not going to be a long training, but we will use the chat feature like we do on our other meetings. I do have Kendra and Sherry in here that are going to help type answers in the questions when they come through, and we'll try to answer those out loud too, so that we make sure we all get the same answers for the fresh fruit and vegetable program. But give us another about 10 minutes and we'll get things kicked off. I know it. It's crazy. All right, we're going to get started here in about 5 more minutes. So welcome if you're just joining us. This is the Fresh Fruit and Vegetable Training. I'm Dana. We'll kick off here in just a few minutes. All right, everyone, it's about 1 o'clock. We've got about 35 participants on the chat for the meeting today. I'm going to fix the PowerPoint where you guys can see the slide a little better and not see all the little slides. But before we start that, I'm Dana Parker. If you don't know who I am, I'm the director of the school programs here at the State Department of Education. In the room with me today, I've got Rhonda Stevenson, who is over the fresh fruit and vegetable program. She's the one that takes care of our getting the claims paid and making sure you still have money or if you've spent all your money and looking at that information. Also have Kendra Mervelt and Sherry Ostley who are in Kendra is our director of training, and Sherry is our in-office consultant. They're here looking at the chat so that if we have questions, we can either stop and answer them, or they will be typing those answers in. So if you type in a question in the chat, look for that answer to follow. We will try to, at the end of the presentation, go back and look at all the questions in the chat and make sure we've got them answered. Couple other things. If you turned in an application for a site at your school district and did not call or email me and say take them off, they are going to be approved for the fresh fruit and vegetable grant. So yay! Appreciate you guys applying. I know it takes time out of your normal day of National School Lunch, School Breakfast, or Seamless Summer, SFSP. We have so many programs going right now at the moment. It's absolutely hard to keep track. And I know you guys applied not knowing where this school year was going to go. We appreciate you. We appreciate you taking the time to be on the training today. Now, let's just go ahead and kind of dive right in. I'm going to change my screen to do the slideshow. Maybe. All right, the Fresh Fruit and Vegetable Program for 2021. And if you guys remember, the Fresh Fruit and Vegetable Program actually goes, the year is from October 1st through September 30th. So all of this money, that is going to start over. So if you were on the program last year, all of that money was supposed to be spent by September 30th. I know some of you did not get all of your money spent from last year. We're not going to hold that against you in getting money this year. Normally, the rules are if you didn't spend all your money, you're not going to be able to get the grant the next school year. But with COVID-19 and how the school year ended last year, we're going to, we've allowed you to come back on the program if you did not spend all of your money. So what are our objectives for today? We're going to talk about what are the goals of the Fresh Fruit and Vegetable Program. We're going to talk about who can participate in the Fresh Fruit and Vegetable Program. That's really pretty simple. Only elementary schools can participate. What are some of the guidelines and best practices of the program? And last but not least, how to do a claim for the Fresh Fruit and Vegetable Program. A little bit of the history. Some of you guys know it started as a pilot program because of the Farm Security and Rural Investments Act in 2002. It was expanded in 2004 with the Child Nutrition Reauthorization Act. And then it was also expanded in appropriations given in 2006. And then in 2008 with the Food Conservation Energy Authorization Act. This program also falls under the Farm Bill. So when the Farm Bill gets reapproved, so does the Fresh Fruit and Vegetable Program. Just a side note, I was looking for information when preparing for today, and there are some other tweaks to the program that may be coming out. There was a pilot program for the Fresh Fruit and Vegetable Program not to have to serve all fresh fruits or vegetables. So I'm going to try to investigate that a little more and see if that is a possibility going forward or how the pilots ended up. So what are some of the goals of the program? The goals of the program are to expand the variety of fruits and vegetables that you serve to your children during the school day, or now on a virtual day, depending on if your kids are virtual or at school. It's to increase the consumption of these fruits and vegetables, getting the kids to try different fruits and vegetables, because this can make a big impact on a child's future if they learn to accept the fruits and vegetables at an early age instead of all the sugary sweet things. And it just creates a healthier environment at school. Most of our teachers would probably agree that if you were going to get the sugar, it would be better to have the sugar from a sweetened watermelon than it would be from a Rice Krispie treat. So keep that in mind when you're looking at participating in like the fresh fruit and vegetable program. So the selection process, what happens is, you guys know, you completed your application in the CAR system. You fill out the fresh fruit and vegetable section, and then we have a close-off date and a close-off date, which was August the 17th, and we pull all the information. This year, because of the number of participants, there were a couple of you that sneaked in, even though your free and reduced participation maybe wasn't over 50%. And we're allowed to do that because of how many completed applications. You have to complete an application every year, and you must be participating in the National School Lunch Program to be on the Fresh Fruit and Vegetable Grant Program. So with the program, USDA encourages every effort. If you've been given a program, it probably looks different in every school. But USDA says at least a minimum of twice per week, you should be offering the fruits and or vegetables at least at a minimum of twice a week. But I'm going to tell you, if you only do it twice a week, it's hard to spend all of your money. And we're going to talk quite a bit about spending all of your money, if at all possible. Because when you do not spend all of your money, that is money left on the table that was not spent for the children in your district or for the children in the state of Oklahoma. Because if you were granted the money, you know, let's say it was $10,000 and you chose not to, that money goes back to USDA, where if you'd, you know, you knew you weren't going to spend it up front, we could have used that money and given it to some of the other school districts that do implement a good program. So you want a variety of strategies. You want to, you know, have good communication with your teachers and staff to how this is going to play out. Are you going to serve your fresh fruits and vegetables as a taste testing? Are you going to serve whole fruits or vegetables? And we're going to go over what some of the guidelines are. And the complementary nutrition education, that's to help the kids know what they're eating. If you just send out samples and you don't tell the children what it is and what, you know, the benefits of this fresh fruit or vegetable is, they have no idea really why they're eating it. They just know they're getting a, you know, a midday snack. So make sure that the nutrition education component is a part of the plan and implementation of the program. USDA says the funds that we allocate for the fresh fruit and vegetable program have to be between $50 and $75 per student based on the prior October enrollment. This year, and you guys might want to write it down, everyone, as how we have it figured right at this moment, and you know it always can change because sometimes people fall off the grant before we really get going on October 1st. You're going to get $54.41 per student based on your October 1 enrollment. I'm going to say that again. $54.41. And I will send all this out to you in an email noting what we had as your enrollment and what your total allotment will be when we get everything situated and get that information in the CAR system. So when you start claiming, it can track your monthly claims. Okay, we're getting a lot of questions in the chat about if we're doing SSO or FFVP, can we do the fresh fruit and vegetable program? Yes, you can. There are a couple of waivers, and well, I shouldn't say a couple, there is a waiver, and then there is a memo dated August the 21st. It's SP 2320, Fresh Fruit and Vegetable Program Question and Answers. I'm going to hold this up here to the screen so you guys can kind of see it. Kendra is going to type that in the chat. It's SP 23-2021. This allows schools to be able to do the fresh fruit and vegetable program while operating the Seamless Summer or the Summer Food Service Program. It also, the waiver will allow you, if you are doing grab and go or delivery, it allows you to tag on to the non-congregate where you can feed it. You know, if you're sending virtual meals home, you're going to be allowed to do that, send those fresh fruit and vegetables home at the same time as you're sending home the breakfast and lunch if you're doing a non-congregate type feeding. So that ought to help us make sure we spend all of our money. So that means just going to say if you were going to serve on the Seamless Summer and you had to give 3/4 cup of vegetable on the lunch program and a 1/2 cup of fruit, you could also put in an extra apple for the program. Make sure the children know that is for the fresh fruit and vegetable program. So you might put it in a little separate sack and just, you know, maybe have a sticker on it that says fresh fruit and vegetable program. And if you've got some type of educational, you know, if it's an apple and you want to tell them this is a Red Delicious apple that is grown in the Midwest. I'm not sure where Red Delicious apples are grown. They may be grown in Florida. So I don't know the answer to that. But that would be something you could put in that bag with that piece of fruit so the kids would know that was your fresh fruit and vegetable. You have to submit these claims separately in the application or in the claims process, and we're kind of going to go over that at the end of the presentation. These claims need to be submitted by the 15th of the month. That gives Rhonda time to check your claim, make sure that you still have money, that what you are claiming is appropriate for the fresh fruit and vegetable program. If you have any questions on what can and can't, the money can and can't be spent on, I sent you the fresh fruit and vegetable little booklet. No, the booklet has not changed since I started to say December of 2010. USDA has not updated our booklet, so it's the same information, but we've also given you the link here on the slide. The slides will be posted in cars under the Fresh Fruit and Vegetable Program when we get through with the trainings, but you guys should all have the slide presentation. That was a part of the email that I sent out yesterday. So on your fresh fruit and vegetable grants, these funds can only be used for the site that is awarded. In other words, if you have 3 sites and 3 elementary sites, but you only applied maybe for the 1 elementary site, and you decide, oh, that's too much money, I can't get it all spent in this school year, so I'm just going to buy enough fresh fruits and send it over to the other 2 elementary schools. That's not allowable. All the money has to be spent at the school where you applied for the grant. Now, if you have an enrollment, say last year in October, your enrollment was 300 kids, and for some reason you guys closed the site and moved students around, and this year the enrollment is 1,000 kids, there is still no more money for that. It's still going to be based on the enrollment from last year, October. And I've already talked about spending all of the money that's allocated. Please, please, please try to spend all of your money. That's really, really important. This year with COVID, we are going to be sending back probably, I'm looking at Rhonda, it's over $1 million, correct? Yeah. So you guys, it wasn't quite $1 million, but it's a lot of money, a lot of money. So you guys, really work on trying to spend your fresh fruit and vegetable grant money. And it's any children attending the school. So that's, I kind of alluded to that a minute ago. Even if the children weren't enrolled in that site last year, it's going to be based on the site. So those children can participate in the fresh fruit and vegetable program. Now, the next bullet, only teachers who are directly responsible for serving fresh fruits and vegetables. I know that seems a little unfair that just everybody in your school district can't participate, but remember, this is fresh fruits and vegetables for your students. So USDA says, and it's in the little booklet. We pretty much pulled the PowerPoint right out of the little booklet that says only teachers who are directly responsible for serving the fresh fruits and vegetables to their students can participate or in the program. Also, children who are attending a child care center or Head Start. So let's say you have a Head Start that is in that site and they attend regular school part of the day and then they go back to the Head Start class. If they are enrolled, then they can participate in the fresh fruit and vegetable program. Then fresh fruit and vegetable program cannot be given to just any adults that are coming in. If you have volunteers in the building, you know, a parent group meeting, those can't be participating in the fresh fruit and vegetable. Custodians, libraries, principals, secretaries, counselors, any other personnel. Now, if any of these folks are actually the ones serving the students, that would be different. So let's say if your principal came in once a week and did the educational component and was sitting down with the students, then once a week, then that principal could participate. But just to give out to everyone that's in your school, that's not an allowable cost. Our fresh fruit and vegetable grant requirements, you must publicize the availability of fresh fruits and vegetables. So that could be as simple as making a note on that site's menu that this site also participates in the fresh fruit and vegetable program, served between 2 and 3 every day. It's supposed to be served only on accredited school days, be served outside of the National School Lunch and School Breakfast Program or the After School Snack Program, which this year, before you guys start typing in the chat, yes, you can, if you're going to feed non-congregate and you're sending all of these meals home on Monday for the whole week, that fresh fruit and vegetable component can be a part of that. That's a part of the waiver process. However, if you're feeding in your school building, you're feeding breakfast in the morning, lunch at, the normal 10:30 to 11:30, whatever, then your fresh fruit and vegetables should be served outside of those meal times. That last bullet there, this cannot be part of the reimbursable meal. So it can't be, you can't decide, well, I need to spend all this money, so I'm just going to order extra fruit and serve it at breakfast. That's not an allowable cost. It has to be served away from school breakfast, school lunch, the after school snack program. So it cannot be a part of the reimbursable meal components. Also, and this is with any National School Lunch, School Breakfast, Seamless Summer, or Summer Food Service Program, it cannot be used as a reward or punishment. Food should never be used as a reward or punishment. It teaches children to overeat or to be rewarded with food, teaches them unhealthy eating habits. Fruits and vegetables cannot be served during the summer sessions, only a normal school year. So, and with the waivers we can do now with the Seamless Summer and the Summer Food Service Program. This last summer, they allowed us to serve fresh fruits and vegetables with the Seamless Summer and Summer Food Service Program. But in a normal, whatever normal may be, the fresh fruit and vegetable program is only supposed to be served during the normal school year. Procurement. One of our most favorite topics in the whole entire world is procurement. Schools must follow the procurement guidelines along as in the normal procurement methods for your National School Lunch, School Breakfast. The Buy American requirement has to be a part of the fresh fruit and vegetable program. Procurement can include, you can include with your procurement of your National School Lunch, School Breakfast, other programs, you can include your fresh fruit and vegetable with that. In other words, when you're telling the vendors, your plans for the next year and how many cases of each different item you may be forecasting, that can be a part of the overall bid. You don't have to do a separate bid for your fresh fruit and vegetable program. But the fresh fruits and vegetables still need to be bid out, and the Buy American component must be included. And you see there, that's in the 7 CFR 210.21 little d. Schools with a food service management company, you want to make sure that that is marked in your original RFP and how and who you're going to be buying those fresh fruits and vegetables from and how they're going to be charged back to your program. The grant also supports the use of farm to school and your local growers. So one of the caveats of this program within procurement is with the micro purchasing, it allows you to spend up to $10,000 per transaction. That is a easiest way to be able to utilize micro purchasing and purchase from maybe local farmers close to your school district with a micro purchase. And remember, when we're talking about micro purchasing from a small farmer, maybe you're not going to be able to get everything from a small farmer. But if you start contacting them early enough, they may be able to at least give you maybe something for one class or two classes. But, you know, like I said at the beginning, it looks different in every school. So if, you know, especially you guys, I'm from Southeast Oklahoma, our growing season's just about over. But if you can get a hold of someone that maybe has some hoop houses, maybe you can find someone, and if they know they're going to have a product sold, they might be willing to grow some different things for you on a small scale. Our farmers, I think, sometimes kind of get scared off because schools are so big, and they think, well, there's no way I can grow, you know, 10,000 pounds of tomatoes for the school year. Well, start small. Say, you know, Farmer Joe, I just need you to grow maybe 50 pounds of tomatoes, and I'm just going to use it in this fresh fruit and vegetable program. That's just an idea of how to incorporate some of the farm to school and get the local growers involved. Some things that are prohibited for you to purchase with the fresh fruit and vegetable money is processed or preserved, canned, frozen. Right now you can't purchase any of those. It has to be fresh fruits or vegetables. You cannot purchase any dip for the fruits. So you can't buy caramel or chocolate or anything like that to put on your fruit. You can't buy fruit or vegetable juices or any carbonated fruits or fresh fruits or juices. Any type of snack products such as those fruit strips, those fruit leathers, fruit roll-ups, any type of fruit that has been injected with flavors such as those grapples, any jellied fruits, any fruit smoothies, anything like that is not an allowable cost on the fresh fruit and vegetable grant program. Now, I said you couldn't buy dips for fruit, but USDA has come back and allowed us to be able to purchase dips for vegetables, but only in a low-fat yogurt based, and it's a, you know, low-fat or non-fat on a very limited basis. In other words, just a little bitty sample size. You don't, you know, a tablespoon or two at most. And when we talk about prepared vegetables, because I said fresh or frozen, fresh only. But in a vegetable, you could cook them, but it says it must be limited to only once a week. And I think the example that they give is a Brussels sprouts. That Brussels sprouts, maybe eating them raw is really, I don't want to use the word gross, but really gross. They're all kind of laughing at me here in the boardroom because, of course, Brussels sprouts to some of us cooked are kind of gross. So, but there are some things that you don't want to eat raw that can be very dangerous. Like the first person who ever ate poke salad raw that died, you know, they figured out real quick you needed to cook poke salad before you could eat it. Yes, I'm old enough. I've ate poke salad many a times. Reimbursable cost. Okay, now we're getting down to the nitty gritty of what the reimbursement and what we can spend the money on. There's two categories, operating cost and administrative cost. So let's talk a little bit about operating cost. The operating cost is your day-to-day cost for getting the program, buying the fruits, buying the vegetables. If you're going to buy any of that low-fat dip, it's the buying of the napkins, the plates, how you're going to serve it. Do you need trash bags for this program? You know, a small cart. The salaries for the employees who do the actual chopping up, bagging up, distributing it to those classrooms. Those salaries can
Okay, we're here. It looks like we're not exactly sure what happened. Can you guys hear me? I did see that Dana's screen froze, but she's trying to get back in. So give us just a moment. We've been having issues with this a little bit. Oh, good. I'm glad you can hear me. Awesome. We've been having some problems getting kicked out lately with Zoom. But let's see. It's not letting you share screen.
It's not letting me back in.
Oh, really? I'm going to mute you guys for just a minute, and so I can get Dana in. Hold on just a second. Okay, Dana's getting logged back in, so if you can give us just like 1 minute, run around your desk for a second. We'll be back.
Stretch. Break time.
We are going to, it seems like her internet's not working very well, so we're going to switch computers really quickly. She's just going to use one of ours. So if you give us just a couple of minutes, we're coming back. I promise. Just the love of technology.
of technology. You're good.
Oh, I don't have a camera. That's why you can't. Okay. Don't have a camera on this computer, so y'all don't have to look at me anymore. Now let me get back to they're laughing at me in here, but that's okay. From current slide. So we were talking about administrative cost, what you can and can't spend your money on. And I think before I froze up, if you're planning to purchase a piece of equipment that is more than $10,000, that's considered a large piece of equipment, $5,000. It's in the manual, $5,000. If you're planning to do that, that can only be limited to 10% of you as an administrative cost. Plus, this piece of equipment could only be used for the fresh fruit and vegetable program. So if you're going to purchase a large piece of equipment and it's going to be split between the fresh fruit and vegetable program and National School Lunch, School Breakfast, Seamless Summer, Summer Food Service Program, it would need to be prorated. The cost of that piece of equipment would need to be prorated. You would need to figure out the amount of time that was spent that would be used for each program. So you might want to split it 75 for National School Lunch and 25% for fresh fruit and vegetable program. Rhonda is the one that's going to look at this information when it comes in, and if she has questions on something you're buying, she is going to probably send you an email and want justification, especially if you tell her you're going to buy a picnic tables. And that was I can't remember what school it was, and you may be on here because you may be one that got a grant. We asked for some justification on how picnic tables could only be used for the fresh fruit and vegetable program. So we made that school district send justification for that. So only the fresh fruit and vegetable portions. Oh, that's kind of what I get ahead of myself. So that piece of equipment would need to be prorated. You're going to have to figure out what expense for each of the different programs that you are going to be able to claim. That's all in the worksheet B and A on the claim. Fresh fruit and vegetable grants will not reimburse schools for that nutrition education. The nutrition education, it can help you reach your goals for a healthier school environment. It can also be maybe the fresh fruit and vegetable can be a part of your school wellness policy of when and where and what type of nutrition education you're going to provide. You might even have the teachers and staff that incorporate this in their lesson plans, but the grant cannot go to pay for these. These are just some of the ideas that of things to promote your fresh fruit and vegetable program, but that the grant cannot be used to spend the money on those. Here's a few websites that gives information, maybe to help you with some nutrition education. We've also been asked, well, what kind of fruits and vegetables can we serve? The food buying guide is a wonderful place to get ideas of different fruits and vegetables. Talk to your produce vendor. If you're going through the DOD and buying some produce from the DOD vendor, talk to them and find out what's in season. What can they get for you, fairly inexpensive. Look at Team Nutrition for ideas. Utilize this program to serve the students things that you don't normally serve in your National School Lunch, School Breakfast program. If you don't typically serve avocados on the lunch line, maybe that's a good thing. If you've not ever served star fruit because it's just too expensive to buy in bulk to serve in the lunch program, maybe that's an idea. Go to the grocery store and just walk around and look and see what's in the produce department. That's a good way to see some different things. Now, if you, kind of one of my mistakes I'm from small McAllister, and I went to Walmart and I started wiping out the shelves of all the strange fruit. And the produce guy caught me one day and he said, make me a list of what all you're going to have, so I don't have people coming and being mad at me because we're out of the different bok choy and different things. So I learned to get with him, and him and I, he'd say, when I've got a special on something, I'll call you. And I would, just do my requisition with my codes for the fresh fruit and vegetable and swing out to Walmart and pick up the stranger things that we weren't allowed, that we couldn't afford basically on the National School Lunch and School Breakfast program. I think we'll get to that. Okay. We're having some questions on how to separate some of the cost. We'll get to some of that in just a minute when we get into, we're going to have some slides that actually show you how to file a claim, where are the money, what the expenses need to be and where they need to be put. So on this slide, if you have a child who has a disability and they cannot consume fresh fruits or vegetables, they have a 504 plan or an IEP or doctor's statement saying, they need their food pureed. Those same accommodations would need to be made for that child or children on the fresh fruit and vegetable program. So what are some of the best practices? Review your application. Look at what you've told us you're going to do. Make sure you have some buy-in from your staff. That's, if you filled out the application and you've been awarded the grant and you haven't told anyone but your principal, because we made you go get his or her signature, and your superintendent, your teachers might not be happy with you. So get their buy-in. Go talk to them. Pay attention to the logistics. Who's going to do what? Where are you going to serve? Establish a monthly budget. That's probably one of the most important things you can do. Figure out, when I told you the $54.41 based on that October 1st enrollment, figure out how much money that's going to be and how much you need to spend over the next 8-9 months of school to figure out how much you need to spend each month to be able to use up your allotment. Make sure you watch for days off. Don't just assume every month has 20 days in it, because some months you guys don't go to school 20 days. Some months you may be shorthanded and you may not be able to get the fresh fruit and vegetable ready. Be flexible. Work with all to promote the program, especially the children. Get them excited about it. If they're excited about it, then your program will be successful. What I can tell you from running the program in McAllister was when you would have your managers come and tell you, oh my gosh, we served blood oranges today. Now every kid in the school is going home and telling their parents that they've got to go buy blood oranges because they love them. That's when the kids are getting excited. Also, when I sent out the information for the training today, I sent you a fresh fruit and vegetable self-monitoring form. This is not a requirement. This is a best practice. But just like doing an on-site review during the school year for your National School Lunch, School Breakfast, your CACFP program, it just helps give you an idea of where you are and how your program's going. The next thing is you want to make sure when you're ordering your fruits and vegetables that the fruits and vegetables are appealing, easy to eat. If you're serving in the classroom and you just hand them all a whole apple, how many first graders have lost those front teeth? They can't eat and bite into the apple. So maybe look at some pre-cut. Remember, I'm asking you to spend all that money. So if you're stretched for time and employees anyway, maybe this program, you buy some of the pre-cut stuff so that You don't have to spend that time on the national school lunch and school breakfast time prepping and preparing. Look at seasonal items. Make sure, strawberries are in season in certain times of the year. Peaches are in season certain times of the year. Things that are just going out of season, sometimes you can get really cheap and be able to provide bigger portions. Leftovers. First of all, on the program, you should plan the program to serve everything you order to those children on the fresh fruit and vegetable program. So, it may not work out perfectly. So you may think, oh, what am I going to do with these leftovers? Well, maybe you want to give your the bigger kids, maybe you give smaller portions to the first and second graders, and you give bigger portions to the fourth, fifth, and sixth graders. Look at what you need to do. When you're ordering, especially the pre-cut, because most of the time pre-cut has to be refrigerated, that you look at your storage space and what it's going to cost. Some more best practices of where are you going to serve the products? Are you going to serve them inside the classroom? For that, you've got to have the teacher buy-in, the custodian buy-in. Are you doing it in the hallways? Are you doing it in the cafeteria? Are you doing it at a kiosk? Are you rolling a cart down the hall? Is it a vending machine? You're a bigger school district, maybe you put it in some type of vending. I personally have never seen it in a vending machine. Techniques for distributing will vary. It kind of depends on the children's age, their maturity. It depends on the type of fruit or vegetable. You can serve bananas way different than you can serve oranges. They both have peelings, but oranges may be harder to peel for the little guys than an orange would be not as hard to peel for a sixth grader. Look at all that when you're incorporating the program. Okay, so this slide, I'm sorry, I had to kind of read it for myself. This is part of the waivers for the 2021 school year that allows the fresh fruit and vegetables to be taken home by a parent or guardian. It is a complete separate waiver that you will need to communicate with your field consultant to send the food home and have a parent or guardian pick it up for the children. So if you're distributing meals, you've done the non-congregant waiver, and you're going to do the parent pickup waiver for the fresh fruit and vegetables, you're going to do that through your area consultant. And you can start spending this money October 1st. So remember, don't start ordering now because those invoices will be dated in September. You want those to start October 1st. I'll get the date right here in a minute. And yes, the fresh fruit and vegetable grant, if you're allotted, it will be reviewed during the administrative review. So during a review process, the consultant will look at what's being purchased. They track how much of your money you've spent at the time they're there. They should observe the vegetable, fruit, service time. This year, who knows how that's going to look. So let's talk about the funds. So we've let you know how much you're going to be receiving. Right now it's $54.41. It cannot be transferred to any other elementary school or any other school. The claims are due on the 15th of the month, and you must spend all of your money during this school year from October 1st through September 30th. Because when you do not spend your money, that money goes back to USDA, unless we know about it soon enough and can redistribute it throughout the other grant recipients. But when you get down to, like now, we're at the end of the fiscal year. There's no time left to redistribute. And I know a lot of that, most of you do a great job of spending all that money. COVID has kind of distracted all of us. The fresh fruit and vegetable grant has its own OCAS coding. You can put that if you run in Fund 22 or 11 or even Fund 60. The program code, you're still going to attach program 700. The revenue receiving in is going to come in as revenue 4760. The project reporting code for the fresh fruit and vegetable program is project 768. Now we're going to talk a little bit about the claims process. In the claims, you submit the claim just like you're going to go in and do your national school lunch claim. You see here on the screen, you click on the month up at the top of the normal thing, you click on the school site, and then our blue box down here right under it says select claim type. When you click on it, it brings up NSLP, SSO, FFVP. Is that all of them? Okay. Then you're going to click on FFVP. If the site has not been approved by us, it'll say ineligible. If it's ready to go, it will open up. There are 3 forms in the claims process. A worksheet A, which is where you put your actual cost of your fruits and vegetables. Worksheet B is where you're going to schedule A and B is for operating cost. That is where you're going to put your list out your cost of your fruits and vegetables and your small supplies and labor. Worksheet C is for the larger purchases and for administrative purchases. And I hope I'm telling y'all that right, I think. So this is the first screen once you click into the fresh fruit and vegetable program. And see, here's in August. This was last year. Some of the information you fill in, like operating days. I've kind of whited out the school name over here at the left. Then the other information after you go in to worksheet A, B, and C, then when you come back to this screen, it has the totals filled in for you. So where you see operating cost, labor cost, administrative cost, claim total, that's all going to be completed for you after you put in the worksheet A, the worksheet B, and the worksheet C. So this is what worksheet A looks like. And how this works, if you've never been on the program, you're going to take your receipt that you purchased. You're going to use the drop-down box, and you're going to tell it if it's a fruit or a vegetable. The next, the unit size, it's going to ask you the unit size, if it was pounds or 1 each, or how you purchased it. The number of units is, if it's bananas and you bought it in pounds, you're going to say you bought unit size 1, number of units, how many ever pounds, 50, and you paid $1 a pound. So if it was 50, 1 unit, the unit cost was 50, the subtotal would be $50. That has to match your invoice exactly. Now on the worksheet B, where you're going to put in the labor, this is going to be the labor for the actual people who prepare and serve the fresh fruits or vegetables. The drop down, you'll put, it'll say labor. I don't think there's any other, and then it asks you for the description. It's going to be the labor for the cook, the labor for the delivery person, and then what that amount of labor is going to be. Now, if you're charging someone's labor to this, then that needs to be coded that way in the OCAS coding in the labor. So that labor code, the project code 768, you would want to attach that with the 3120, I believe is labor, is the function code for labor. And then if it's a cook or support personnel, you would use all of that to make sure that did balance out. Now worksheet C is the administrative purchasing or administrative labor. This is the part that can only be 10% of your total grant. But what we would really ask you to do to keep up with this is do this on a monthly basis. If you're going to charge an administrative cost back to the program, do it on a monthly basis. We've had some issues with our system because the original programmers thought it was 10% each month, but it is 10% of your total grant that you can spend on administrative cost. So be careful with that when you are putting in administrative cost. And you see on each slide, and I should have said this before now, each one of those little save buttons, make sure you save each one of those, or you might put in the whole thing and you haven't saved and you click out of it and come back in and it's all disappeared. You will probably only do that once, and then you will remember to save every time. We didn't put any money in because that was a live claim we were looking at. But when you come back to this final step, that administrative cost, labor cost, operating cost, labor cost, administrative cost, and claim total will be filled in from those worksheets. And see, I'm sorry, Oklahoma City, I didn't erase the school name down there at the bottom. I missed that. But as you can see, when we took this picture, the school district had a remaining balance. The system tracks that for you and keeps up with that. At one time, the system was not tracking that. We think that has all been fixed and should be tracking. Rhonda also keeps a spreadsheet so that we can keep an eye on that for now. But what we want to make sure you understand is that you save and certify this claim. If you save it and you don't go in and certify it, we have no way of knowing you have entered that claim. Only when you hit that certify button does Rhonda get a notice that a claim has been entered for you. And the claims, the fresh fruit and vegetable claims are just like the other claims. They have to be filed in a timely manner, or after the 60 days, you have to provide justification, and we have to ask for permission for you to file a claim because they have to be done in a timely manner. Just a couple of safety tips, and you can find these in that little handbook. You want to buy produce that is not bruised or damaged. That's very, look at that. You don't want to have not so nice products. If you're buying a pre-cut bagged produce, make sure it is, been kept cold. Check temperatures on trucks. If, you buy a pre-cut, pre-bagged that says it's already washed and ready to serve, there's no need to rewash it. Matter of fact, at Produce University, we learned that when a item, especially lettuce and things, have been pre-washed, they're sprayed with a, I don't want to call it a chemical, but it helps keep it fresher. And when you go in and wash that, you wash all of that off, and so your lettuce doesn't stay as crisp as it could. You want to make sure you store items properly. Make sure you're keeping the cold things below 40 if refrigeration is required. And it is really safe for if any pre-cut items are kept refrigerated. Wash your hands, and right now in this day and time, we can't say wash your hands enough. Cut away if you do, come across something that is bruised and you're preparing it to send out, cut away that bruised area. Worst thing in the world that I can say is when you go out to eat and you bite into your hamburger and you get the tomato with the darn end of the tomato with the big old stem part on it. Make sure, take pride in what you're doing. Make sure that you're giving the kids the best part of the produce. Wash produce thoroughly under running water. And then what I was saying, if it's a pre-washed and ready to eat, there's no need to rewash it. Even if you're not going to eat the skin, let's say you're peeling apples for all the kids and you're going to not eat them. It's still a great idea to wash that, because if there's contamination on the outside of that skin and you go to cut into it, you've just contaminated the inside of the edible part of the apple. Sprouts must be very careful with sprouts. That may be something you may not want to tackle, but if you're going to serve sprouts on the fresh fruit and vegetable program, that might be that one item one day a week that you cook. And by all means, keep your fresh, raw produce separate from your meat and poultry and seafood. Cross-contamination can be deadly. Keep utensils and cutting boards clean and sanitized. Now, that is the end of our presentation. Do we have any questions that we need to go back and answer, Kendra?
The one was even operating and admin costs, so they'll take you at home some. That was the big question.
Okay. And we'll look for just a couple more minutes. We will send out a certificate for this class so that you can have it in case of an administrative review. Kendra just made her a middle note. I saw that. We will probably try to offer this training one more time because I know we had some participants that said they could not be here this particular time. We haven't really talked about if we will post this particular presentation or not. I do appreciate all of you being on the call today. Don't forget the form. I don't have a camera. I'm sitting here showing them the form. Sorry about that. The waivers, if you are in need of the waiver, if you are sending items home with your students and you're going to do the parent pickup, the non-congregate, get with your area field consultant. I also sent out a fresh fruit and vegetable little 2-page flyer that just has a little bit of information on it. Congratulations on receiving the grant. Spend it wisely, but spend all of your money. And if there's not any more questions.
Here's one, if you got one. It just says, I still have fresh fruits coming in next week, but I make that claim in October. Still using this year's money.
No, okay. So the question was, you were on the program last year and you ordered some fresh fruits and vegetables. Where do you put that claim? That claim's going to go in on your September fresh fruit and vegetable claim because that is still your money from last year. If you're brand new on the program, this is the first year you've been on it, so you don't have any money in your bank, so to speak, you're not going to get any money in your bank until October 1st. So you're not going to get your paycheck until October 1st to start your program. But any money that you spend, you put it on the claim for that month. It's not when you serve the fresh fruits or vegetables, it's when you purchased it. So if you're purchasing foods, let's say October 31st, but you're not planning to serve them until November 5th, you're going to claim them in October because that's when the invoice is dated. Anything else? I see people going ahead and dropping off, so I think we're about through. You guys have a great afternoon and a good school year, and we will see you next week on our COVID call. Thank you, guys. Bye-bye.
Right at an hour, too. That's one of the technical